everyone, I've had several requests to do a little bit of a talk about the Tortoise Centre that I work at, that I keep talking about, and it also occurred to me that I haven't even introduced myself really. I've been doing videos, I think I'm up to my 30th video, and I've never actually said who I am. So my name's Eleanor Tortoisana, and I've been interested in tortoises since I was tiny. I always loved animals, and it was the one that I was given as a first pet. And I had a really kind of superficial understanding of tortoise ownership, like a lot of us start. And then I was a member of the British Chelonia group and used to get their little magazine. They're still running today in England. But I really started getting interested when I was in my teens and found out about a local group called the Tortoise Club. And I started going to their monthly meetings and became really interested in the care of tortoises and how misunderstood they are and the social science side of it. And I've been hooked ever since. So 20 years later, I've gone down a huge rabbit hole, and I now run the Tortoise Club thanks to people both past and present. It's a force to be reckoned with, and we do so much for tortoise conservation. And there's been spin-offs as well. So I'm the chairman of the European Turtle Alliance, which is passionate about promoting awareness of conservation of tortoises and turtles in the wild. And there's something that all keepers can do. So even if you're not interested in like helping keep a rare tortoise, it doesn't mean that you can't be supporting the work in the way that you live, and also by supporting the groups that are doing good works. So there's lots of different ones. Tortoise Welfare UK you may have heard of, that's to do with me. Tortoise Matters is my YouTube channel and product line, and I'm also supporting the European Stubbock Foundation, which is about genetic sort of tracking genetics of tortoises and turtles and trying to create an arc and support genetics for the future. So there's lots of different things going on. I started as a keeper, and then it's sort of spun off in all directions, and all of those organisations are we work at this one centre together as a collective, and it's called Tortoise Centre HQ headquarters in Norfolk, and I'm going to give you a bit of a tour. So if you want to come in, this is the entrance, and some of you may have heard that we're doing fundraising for a medical centre. We get a lot of animals in that need initial care or rehabilitation before they're placed. So one thing I will say before we start going on is this centre is used for conservation, rearing and breeding of some species, but we also do rehoming through Tortoise Club. So we rehome about 100 to 120 animals a year, and part of that work is we need a medical room. We also do a little bit of holiday respite care to help with fundraising, and we also do education courses and fundraising tasks here for our events as well. So don't look too closely, we haven't finished yet, we're still fundraising, but we've got a room for our volunteers. We've got a medical treatment room that you can go in, and round the back we've got a wash-up area. At the moment we've still got our fundraising page because we still need to kit it out properly with the canopy, so we ran out of money. So this is work in progress. The green building here is actually our refrigeration room for hibernating tortoises. We can hibernate sort of 60 to 80 animals in here comfortably in the winter. And then further down we've got separate isolation rooms, tropical turtle room, which I'll show you another day, storage shed, and then we've got our big office unit as well, and staff room where we've got our day book and do all our planning and scheduling for everything that we need to do. And if you come through to the garden, this is where it's all happening. So we can individually house over 30 individuals outside, and you can see all of these enclosures with solid size to stop tortoises from escaping. This is a south-facing garden in a secure location, and the whole point of having separate enclosures is boys tend to fight and bite and can cause stress and harm to each other. So that's one reason why we have separates. And also, I'd say there's at least 12 different varieties of tortoises that are commonly kept in captivity as pets, and they have different immune systems. And so it's a good idea not to mix tortoises if you can avoid it, to try and reduce the risk of cross-contamination of some really nasty bugs which are floating around within the captive population. So I'd say 80% of the tortoises that we find homes for go into solo homes for that reason, to try and make sure that we're not introducing any bugs into the community. And I would always be really wary if you hear about a centre where people are just taking animals in and keeping them. Where are they going? Are they keeping them separate? Are they doing it in a responsible way? So you can see, just to give you a tour, we try and make it a little bit like the Mediterranean. We add lots of different aggregates and textures for enrichment. It's not just a square of grass, there's a hill to sunbathe on, and normally dirt areas, so if there's a female in there, they've got somewhere to lay eggs. So I'll see if I can find you some tortoises. This is Wally. Now, this little guy would have been collected from the wild, and this is what we still see a lot of in the UK. So they reckon they brought over 250,000 of these wild caught specimens in before the ban in 1984, and a lot are still in Britain. And this little chap has never come into contact with another tortoise, so he's got beautiful dry nose. He hasn't picked up the virus, which is often in pet trade tortoises. He's not got runny nose, and they do get really poorly if they catch it, and once they have it, it's a bit like cold sores, they've got it forever. So it's always best to try and avoid letting these old tortoises come into contact with other tortoises, just to be on the safe side. And now I've just been weed on. Maybe we should have a pause. We have just had a short interval because this tortoise. Okay, we just had a short interval because the tortoise I picked up decided to wee all over my trousers, so I've now changed my trousers, but it was completely on me because I picked him up, and you know, why should I pick him up? Tortoises are not pick me up sort of animals unless you're trying to do something like you know, check their weight or whatever. It's better to just observe them. And I'm really sorry, Wally, I won't pick you up again. But what I was saying about him is he's a long-term captive. He would have been collected from the wild. The owners had him for 70 years as a pet, and they're becoming quite elderly now, and they want to make sure that he goes to a good home. We specialise at the centre in dealing with animals which are a little bit more delicate, like these long-term captives. So you know, we didn't hesitate in making sure that we could support these owners. And you can see the urates that have come out. You've got this white in here, which is perfectly normal when a tortoise urinates. It's slight lumpy, which might suggest slight dehydration, but we'll just make sure we give them some extra soaks over the next week or so. We want that to be nice and runny, and off he goes. Sorry. Right, so we'll carry on. Timothy is another elderly spur-thigh tortoise, and what's really interesting is he is documented to be over 130 years old. He's on holiday at the moment. See the circle here, this is H. And he is full size. And he's got slight cataracts, slight white eyes, and just really like an old penny. I think he's probably Suensis, so southern Morocco, but feel free to correct me if you've got other ideas. And we know he's a spur thigh because he's got little spurs on his thighs here. And yeah, so probably more of a Moroccan, and sometimes I think this chap is probably more sort of Algerian origin, although I'm not completely sure because he's got a slightly different shaped head. Normally the white-ears have sort of broader heads, but you can see the colour difference here. You can see you've got lots of different things growing. We regularly reseed in the enclosures so the tortoises have browse, but we also supplementary feed and put the grass cobs for fibre and vitamins. A regular type of tortoise that comes in is a Hermann's tortoise. They're probably the most documented online, and people think that they're like the beginner's tortoise. And here's an example here. So this tortoise is captive reared, and you can see the slight bumps here. Not completely smooth growth, but at the same time not completely flat, though you can sometimes get a collapsed pelvis and it can be a lot more bumpy than this. Short tail, little spike on the tail here. Okay, who else have we got? Then who I talk about quite regularly is the very large type of spur thigh. This is Algerian whitey eye. So this is the male. So this is going to be about 4 kilos in weight. And you see the really big white spurs here? And quite broad features. And there's still a lot of these knocking around in the UK. Now, we do have problems because we're quite far north. We don't have the same weather as Algeria, so giving them access to sort of glass areas and heat lamps and a good south-facing garden is really important to try and stop follicle stasis and egg retention. And areas to dig holes. Someone's been having a go here, as you can see. It's very important to give somewhere for a tortoise to dig, and you want them to be able to dig, but so it doesn't fall in on itself too much, like that. You can see the little brushes for biosecurity. We have brushes for each water dish for each enclosure. This is a Turkish Ibera, also a spur thigh, but their characteristic is they're quite dark. You see, and spurs are different. And look, I think the biggest characteristic is they often have beautiful jet black eyes. And then in the back here, we've got Madagascar radiator tortoises, one each side of the box actually. We can go over and see them. So these are 2 of the males that live at the centre. The guy that you're looking at the moment is the largest male. I don't know his weight, but he's heavy. He's called Austin, and he's in this enclosure with just one other male at the moment because he is quite boisterous and he's giving the girls a bit of a hard time. And radiator tortoises have very soft skin. You can actually see he's actually got some war wounds himself. You can see the red mark here. Don't you dare eat my toes. They love a tickle. So Austin's having time out and is in this paddock with another male at the moment, just to give the girls a bit of a break. Another thing with males is I think Austin probably is all right, but they can often get quite sore tails. Austin's tail is okay, but if they've been mating, you sometimes need to give them, you can see the concave under there, you sometimes do need to give them a bit of a break. But in this case, the girls have actually got sore eyelids because he's just been rutting because he wants to mate. This other chap here is a rescue radiated who has more bumps. He's been fed the wrong food at a young age when he was forming his exoskeleton, so you can actually see incorrect diet is actually showed in the formation of his shell, and that's from having fruit and veg, not enough calcium, UV, fibre in his diet. Where Austin came to me palm size and he's grown smooth, so it is possible to get any type of tortoise to grow like they should in the wild if you give them the right building blocks. That is with radiated tortoises, it's giving them lots of fibre and not giving them naughty food like veg and fruit, and calcium, and UV. So if you come this way, this is my dog Luna. You'll see her in lots of the videos. I'd never leave her unattended with lots of small tortoises, because even though she's a great dog, if they choose sides, they're more likely to try and eat. So you can get an overview of all the enclosures. You can see there's lots of little tortoises going, what have you got? We try and grow different plants to give variety and trace elements. We're now in June in England. And we've got lavateria flowers. We've just got evening primrose coming through. Chicory flowers will be here soon. Got another little Moroccan down here. And in England, for more inclement days, and you wouldn't get this in America where it's warmer, we actually use glass to make little greenhouses so that they can warm up a little bit more easily and process their food and so on. Got a mulberry tree. I thought this was a mulberry bush, but it's actually turning into a tree. So it's a slight error on the planting front, but the tortoises love to eat that. So this is the last big outdoor enclosure. This is an elderly brought to Garai Herman group, so Eastern Hermans. And on the left here is a wildlife pick paddock. So this is the seed mix that you can get from Norfolk Tortoise Club on eBay, which has got the chicory and the mallow. It's got 10 different plants in it. And we also reseed. You do have to pull out the grass occasionally. But yeah, if you keep watering it, you can then get food all year round. So I got picket fence. It was a bit of a compromise because the Tortoise Centre is actually based at my family home, and we have to make, because it's traditional gardens here, we had to make everything stay in keeping with the traditional gardens. We are allowed to grow wildflowers in other parts, so in the orchard we've got plants growing as well. But we've got picket fence, and then at eye level we've got planks, so the tortoises can't see out at eye level. If a tortoise can see in between a gap, it doesn't understand, it doesn't fit, and then they can hurt themselves. So you must never use like chicken wire or somewhere where it can rattle up and down and damage its shell. So the smaller one is a male, and you can see he's showing a bit of interest, and I will put the males in here because I've got a good high ratio with girls, and I'll let the boys go in for a few months each year. But we're now at a point where the boys have got to be separated because the girls have had enough. And if we have a look at a tail, your tail's all right. I know I was looking at someone's tail the other day and it wasn't that good. Yeah, look. Can you see the red there from mating? So they kind of lose condition. They're also spending so much time chasing the girls, they're maybe not thinking so much about eating. So they're going to go in a bachelor pad over the next week or so, so we can make sure that they're feeding properly and the girls are not becoming too stressed. So we have soil mounds for egg laying. And this is just sterilised topsoil, play sand and cocoa coir so that it's got structure. But the tortoises start digging and don't like it, and if you look closely there's a reason for this. There's ants. If you have ants in a nest mound, tortoises don't like it. This is a little bit wet, wetter than you'd like. But yeah, you get the principle. you want to make sure there's soil areas for tortoises to, females to lay eggs. And that's even if they don't have access to a male. So that's it for now. There is the greenhouses here. We've got the solar, and inside there's heat lamps for which mainly get used in spring and autumn, because in England we have really long winters, so giving tortoises help beginning and the end of the year is quite important. But whenever possible we try and have all the tortoises outside, because there isn't a single lamp on the market that can match sunlight when we do have it. So if you are worried about, you have got a tortoise and you only keep it inside, I would urge you to be brave and look into making an outdoor space to get your tortoise outside. But thanks for watching. Please don't forget to follow and subscribe. And you're being attacked by a tortoise. And if you aren't already, check out Norfolk Tortoise Club, and I'll put a link in the bio about our medical centre. If you are able to help with a donation, it's massively appreciated. Thanks for watching.